Hey.
Right, just before you start riding that, have that. On public, they're illegal.
Hello, I'm Toycat, and as it turns out, a lot of people's first exposure to an electric scooter is via my channel, and so I've had a lot of questions about, so you own one, aren't these mostly for rent? What's the deal with e-scooters, Toycat? And I figured I could answer that question by giving you a little bit of a tour of my scooter in this video, because as it turns out, a lot of people do think they're just rentals, and you might question like, okay, I want one, they look fun, how do I get one? And this is the scooter I can recommend wholeheartedly. This is the scooter that the entire community of people who own these can wholeheartedly recommend, because even if you have double the budget of what one of these costs, which is about $500 to $600, 500 euros, somewhere in that ballpark, I think I paid just under £400 UK for mine. But if you look at this scooter right here, this is the best scooter you can get, not only for the price, but for more than double the price. Xiaomi makes a very good scooter. It's the M365 Pro, in case you're curious. And as you can see, it's a pretty basic thing. Like if you want a full tour of the thing, there is a single brake here. The brake is for the back, because on the right here, we've got power, which is exclusively for the front wheel. Something you might not know about these is the back wheel is just there. Most scooters, besides the very, very, very expensive ones, are just front powered exclusively. There's a motor somewhere in there. You know, I'm not going to pretend I understand motors. And so yeah, there are just basically two controls. Brake the back wheel, which means there's a little bit of skid, because it's like rear wheel brake. There's some problems in wet weather. And then we've also got ourselves a speed, which is right over here. Then we've got a bell, and that's basically it for the things up here. There's also some modes you can switch between, so you can turn on the headlights by pressing this button once. As you can see, it's very, very, very bright. Lights up my Nike my fork, knife, and spoon posters that I apparently have in this Airbnb. And then we can turn that off, as you can see, by pressing once again. Or we can double tap, just like this. And if you double tap, you can go between the modes. So I'll go more into that later when I actually show you outside what this looks like. But for now, there are 3 separate modes. Also, in case you're curious, so it's electric, right? I mean, look at that heads-up display. That's pretty fun and cool. It shows your speed in miles per hour. It's kilometers per hour by default, because most of these are sold in countries that aren't the UK or the US, that for some reason use miles per hour for our legal systems. But anyway, as you can see, looking at the scooter, there is 2 wheels. Wow, that is a shock. And somehow mine is balancing, right? This is because on the other side of the scooter, this is where the business actually happens. There is not only the rear wheel, the brake, as you can see, but also there is a kickstand. This is the most minor kickstand. Like, it's just a single piece of, I'm gonna lift it up right now. Oh, no, I'm not. But this is the most minor thing. It's like a tiny piece of plastic, but it's held up under everything. Like, as you can see, it's kind of weak, but it slides, and you can scrape the floor only a little bit by doing it. I love this kickstand, despite it being very weak. And then also, if you look just under here, this is how you charge the thing. There's a magnetic, although mine fell off. I watched a video that said that these often fall off, and I was like, won't happen to mine. It did. So there's a magnetic cover for the charging port. If you're curious as to how you charge these, basically you get one of these. It's a circular pin. I think these are somewhat common charging ports, and you just plug it in right over there. It takes about, I'd say, like a night to charge fully, or a couple of hours to plug up overnight. And you just plug this into any home power port. In my case, the other end of mine is actually a European plug, because these are much more common in Europe, because this is actually entirely illegal in the UK. But we'll dive more into that while I show you what it's actually like, because now you've seen the entire scooter tour. Wow, it's as simple as go, brake. There's a little refuel right here that I'm gonna cover up. I don't really think it's a big issue if dirt gets in there, but just in case it is, I'll cover that one up. And then, as you can see, there's a kickstand right here, which I'm gonna get rid of now, leaving the scooter to full, just like this, because you know what? It doesn't hold up by itself. You need to do that. Anyway, let's go outside. Let's show you what it's actually like in terms of performance. So now I'm outside, and I can show you the actual performance that you'll get from using the thing. As you can see, here is the kickstand. You kick it up. Wow, that makes sense, doesn't it? And yeah, the key question everyone has is, how fast does this thing go? And I guess that's a question we should get straight into answering, because if you turn it on eco mode, you go about 7.5 miles per hour. As you can see, the acceleration is deliberately more on eco, and you go about 8 miles per hour, depending on the terrain, etc. If you then switch it up to drive mode, or D, which is, I guess, the recommended speed on this one. This is, most scooters don't have a middle mode, they just have eco and max. You can see if we go up a hill right here, we can go about 12 miles per hour. This is the recommended speed. It's what a lot of campaigners are trying to get you going for. And then if we switch up just for fun here to speed mode, you can see that instead of getting 12, we'll get a full 15 miles per hour. It's actually 15.6 or something, because it's meant to be 25 kilometers an hour. And oh god, it's meant to be 25 kilometers an hour, but as you can see, we turn it on and very steadily we creep up to 14. It should be 15, but we're going up a hill, as you can maybe tell. Miles per hour, very easy, very fun. And you know, 50 miles per hour feels like not too much in a car, I would say, or a motorbike or something. But on a scooter, because you're standing up like this, it feels like a surprising amount of speed, and that's something people notice a lot in these videos. But with that said, let's now go up a hill and let's show some performance like in non-standard situations, because when you buy the thing, everyone knows you don't need to look at a review, you don't need to look at a video to tell that, like, hey, the ideal circumstances, you'll get 30 miles of range from this thing and you'll go 15.6 miles per hour. What about actual situations? So I'm here in Liverpool, really nice city in the UK, by the way, would wholeheartedly recommend. And I want to give you some real world situation kind of like you know, performance, because for instance, one of my favorite streets in Liverpool, oh god, it's wet, by the way, don't recommend riding this thing in the wet at all. It's, again, the 30 miles is in dry conditions when it's a not particularly hot, not particularly cold day. What if it's a cold, wet day and you're going up a hill? You know, what is it like then? And as you can see, if we dip back down, as you can see, we actually get a like semi-hit to performance. It's actually a lot better than most other scooters. You know, scooters have a very fixed amount of power they can give. If it's 50 miles on a flat surface, it's going to very quickly dissolve uphill. This, you know, this scooter, the Pro, one of the reasons it's so great is it has extra power to give when you're going uphill. The reason it's at 15 miles per hour on a flat ground is not because of performance capacity, like many other scooters just build to get to 15 and then stop, but instead is out of legal necessity. Indeed, if you can actually flash the software, and a lot of people choose to do so, to get substantially faster speeds than 15 miles per hour. Because you know, you've heard that correctly. The reason that this thing goes 15 miles an hour, so you heard me correctly. The reason this goes 15 miles per hour is for legal issues. And you might say, wait, Toycat, didn't you say this was illegal in the UK and you have to, like, you imported yours from Europe because you save money and it's legal up there? And yeah, it's interesting because you know, despite being a 15 you know, despite being an illegal vehicle, it's not actually illegal by itself. It's illegal on the roads, because the only things allowed on roads are things that are taxed and etc., or bicycles, and this is not a bicycle and it's not taxed or insured or anything like that. And the only things allowed on footpaths are, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's horses and it's people. So it's not allowed on the footpath, it's not allowed on the road, and therefore it's de facto illegal on not private land. But on private land, you can break all sorts of laws. So like, the general rule is you can't use this legally, especially on a public street that was paid for via something. But the reality is, most e-scooter companies, including Xiaomi, the makers of, you might guess, the Xiaomi M365 Pro, you might be able to work that one out. But Xiaomi do actually stick to the e-bike rules in the UK, which is that a assisted electric bike can go up to 15, it's again 25 kilometers. It's an EU directive. The UK can vary from it, but most countries have a similar law. They're like, hey, you've got to go 25 kilometers an hour is the max an engine can kick on after. If you hit 25 kilometers an hour, an e-bike's engine will turn off, and so as a result, so too will the scooter. And although that's slowly being broken here and there, again, you can flash your software. It's not particularly hard. Any default scooter, any scooter sold by a company will have the exact same requirement, the exact same very stringent rule that it must be capped at 15 miles per hour. After 15 miles per hour, the engine, you know, will effectively, not the engine, the motor, sorry. You know, this is a car now, I've decided, but the motor turns off after 15.6 miles per hour, or again, kilometers an hour. You know, actually, you might be questioning, like, so you said this thing mostly goes in kilometers per hour, but you changed it to miles. How do you do that? And there's actually a really simple answer. So there's an app you can download. It's called M365 Tools. So I'll show you it right now. M365 Tools, and it'll give you a whole message. You connect it to your scooter, and then it asks you to rate it, and you're like, no thank you. And then what this acts as is a speedometer. So you can see it's actually giving you the internal speedometer, rather than just rounding it to the nearest mile per hour. You can see we're actually going 2.5 miles per hour. You can also track all sorts of things like how much distance have I used this for total. And it's interesting because I've used this for, according to, where is it in the app? You know, I can't see it. You can see according to this app, maybe it's in a different place. Oh, here it is. I've actually ridden this thing 86 miles, which seems really low if you think about it in terms of like a vehicle, but in terms of just like going around on like mile journeys max, it's actually impressive how long I've used this in my opinion. Although I guess I've also used it for these videos. It also shows you the temperature of the unit, which again, it's 4 degrees here in Liverpool right now. It's 26 degrees. It shows you the KERS mode, which I actually don't know. I think that's regenerative braking or something like that. And then it also has another option, tail light always on. This is something that the scooter can enable by default, but you need an app to do so. And then cruise control. Cruise control, again, not allowed because it has to be, you know, it's not allowed to be turned on by default, but it's something I entirely recommend getting an app just to see, because you're not seeing a graph of your speed, your performance. The fact that it gives me an estimate that I'll be going for another 24.9 miles at current battery, that's really great. But let me show you why cruise control being turned on is so crucial. Because if I'm going hypothetically across a road like this, don't worry, I look both ways. But if I turn this on max, you'll hear after a few seconds, wait, you should hear it, wait, maybe. Up at hill is going to mess it up a little bit. But once you're going the same speed consistently for a few seconds, you'll hear a little beep enable. And you know what, I think I'm going to have to do a little loop here. Wow, so embarrassed. But after a few seconds, you'll hear a beep enabled and cruise control be turned on. I'll show you in a second what that looks like. But for now, I need to show you like one of the coolest things I've seen in Liverpool so far in terms of scootering. If you come here, this is the absolute dream of a hill to be going down. Maybe in a bad way, actually. As you can see, this is a, oh God. Oh. Okay. Probably a little bit dangerous, but it's the coolest like random thing that I found yesterday while going on a scooter ride. And it's a reminder that this is the reason this is fun. Like a vehicle that is entirely controllable with speed limits. You know, this is why they try to adhere to legislation about e-bikes, so you can ride it without a license, so you can ride it without insurance or license plates, or all of the you know, nightmares that come to anything. Ah, that was the beep, by the way. Do you hear it? So notice now, cruise control is turned on. I'm going 15 miles per hour consistently, the max speed. You can set it to any other speed you want, but most people realistically set it to max. And now I don't need to hold this down to go. Again, this is a technical breach of e-bike regulation, but I guess it should be re-clarified that you're already breaking the rules by riding this to begin with. So I guess it's not so much worse if you also break the rules about e-bikes, but it should be noted, if you're willing to bend one rule a tiny bit and really, really improve your overall user experience, I would say cruise control is the one. And again, I recommend going on a flat surface for this. Up hills, it gets a little bit messy because obviously it's putting in 15 miles per hour worth of torque right now, or even more than that, but we're only going 8 because this is a really, really steep hill that we happen to have found ourselves on. But still, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's my scooter. That's the one I use. Those are the modifications I have enabled. One of the ones I've considered is flashing the scooter. Like again, you can download an app and basically change your firmware so that it won't believe in the 50 mile per hour cap anymore. On private land, you are allowed to do that. And realistically, on public roads, most of the time, again, I've never heard of enforcement. You know, if there is any enforcement of this idea that you can, yeah, again, if anyone's actually checking the speed limit of a vehicle, I haven't heard about it. There are many vehicles out there that are sold to you with basically an unlocker enabled, because even though the vehicle, you know, again, like no vehicle sells itself with the option, every vehicle has an easy way to do it if you want to modify it yourself. Basically, putting the legal culpability for breaking those regulations on you. By the way, look, here's a bike lane. It's the shortest bike lane in the world. It goes to this road, and then it goes, you know what, we tried our best. But this is part of National Cycle Route 56. I thought I was on it yesterday, but I definitely found it, again, the other day. And as you can see, cycle routes in the UK, and indeed most of Europe that isn't in the Netherlands or like Denmark, cycle routes in most of the UK and most of Europe are just roads. Like you can see, there's a little cycle lane pointer right there. There's speed bumps to slow down cars, whereas cycles, like the delivery driver up ahead or me, can go the full speed, and that's kind of the deal with these things. And so yeah, I guess what I'm saying here is this is the scooter. You can flash it to go faster. I've chosen not to do so because the downsides for battery life, the downsides for safety, because 15 miles per hour, I've actually crashed a couple of times. I've never like full on like hit the sidewalk, but like pavement, I should say. But you know, it is kind of scary, and in wet conditions and stuff, you know, like the faster you're going, the more painful a crash is going to be. I think that's just basic science. 15 miles per hour is a speed where even if you do something really tragically bad, you hit a pedestrian, as long as they're not like an old woman, you know, as long as, you know, pretty much anything that goes bad at 15 or 25 kilometers, you're pretty fine. And also your braking distance down to 0, even when it's wet. If I brake now, as you can see, I'm already broken. If I brake just up ahead and I'm like, oh, I've got to brake now, then you can see I'm A-okay. Probably using up the brakes a bit too much to do this, probably damaging the tire to have it grind against the ground so much. But you know, the speed is super manageable, because even though 50 miles per hour is scary for a lot of people who go on the first time, you can see right now, because I'm on a road, because there's a car in front of me, it actually looks really slow, and that's great. It means you're going at a speed where you can kind of, I'm not recommending you should, but it means even if you do zone out by accident or something, you're entirely safe. Like as long as you spot an obstacle that is straight in front of you, you're good. You will immediately die if a car hits you head on, of course, but if you hit a car from behind, again, you're at 50 miles per hour, you probably won't even damage the vehicle. I think 15 is like a really safe space for it to leave. I would even say 20 might be an okay spot for like roads like this. It will keep you safer, because right now there's a car behind me. The car is going 5 miles per hour faster than me. This is a 20 mile per hour road, and indeed the slowest real speed limit you see in the UK is 20. So being able to go 20, I would say is great, because you'll keep up with traffic a lot better. But again, people who modify theirs to go 25 or 30, so every time I see that, I'm like, you know, it's dangerous. I wouldn't stop or anything. But yeah, anyway, let's go back to legality then. So like, okay, I don't break a set of laws that don't apply to the scooter, and you know, considering changing those. But right now, I'm driving an illegal vehicle, and you might think like, Toycat, why are you uploading videos of you doing this to the internet? You know, like this is a crime you are committing, because I live in a police state, and you know, but the truth is, the UK, you know, we have a system called policing by consent. You should look into it. It's one of the things I never knew how to put into words that I appreciate about the UK, but I really do. Like, every now and then we have some like disproportionate police acts, you know, like event, like incident, I guess is what I'm going for. We have some disproportionate use of police power, but it's generally, am I recording right now? You know, that's a good thing to check, isn't it? I've gone pretty far away for someone who isn't recording. Hey, I'm recording, that's good. Let's continue showing you this cycle network. But yeah, every now and then it happens in the UK, but it's generally said like, oh yeah, we enforce laws with the public's consent. We don't use force if not, you know, look into it if you really want to. And I know some countries have the same thing, but there are lots of countries that don't have the same rules. Like, you know, France is very strict on regulation for this sort of thing. I don't know if I would feel comfortable there. You know, there are even curfews right now in France. And indeed, I've heard in Quebec it's the same thing. And like, you know, you might get in some serious, genuine trouble in certain countries. Look into your local regulations. If you live in the UK like me and you're thinking, oh, so it's full on illegal here, unlike in other countries, the reality is every few months they look into legalizing them. And if you look into like arrests, I've seen, you know, I look into this regularly. There's been 2 arrests for someone using these, and I don't think it was a full arrest. I think it was like they rode a scooter under the influence of I think it was marijuana, weed, cannabis as we call it here. You know, but there have been some number of actions, but it's mostly like you'll get a £50 fine if you ignore you know, every now and then they enforce like stoplights and stuff like that on people. Like, they want you to follow road laws, they want you to follow presumably e-bike laws, you know, like, but that, you know, even those actions are super limited, and they're never like, oh, you own a vehicle that is technically illegal, we're going to get you on that. We don't have that system here, and that's something I really appreciate personally. Oh yeah, this park is so wet. Really don't recommend riding in the wet. When you first get one of these, like, so again, you're watching this video, maybe because you're considering one of these for yourself. Is it worth the money? If you live somewhere where you can rent them, and you do rent them regularly, of course it's worth the money. If you don't want to rent one and you're like, you know, this is going to be a fun vehicle or a transportation vehicle, I'd say work out which one it is first, obviously, because as a fun vehicle, Oh god, yeah, this is a great way to explore all sorts of local areas that you just can't really otherwise. Like, sure, I mean, you could ride a bike. I mean, that is the popular way people do these things, but most people don't. There's a certain amount of fun that comes with acceleration at this tier that you just don't get elsewhere. So, you know, obviously, do I recommend one of these? Actually, not. Let's go into this park. Let's ride around the park and show you how beautiful the British countryside is. You know, I hate that, like, the stereotype is that it always rains in the UK, and I always have to be like, you know, it rains 100 days a year, but that's not like that huge a number, right? But then it always rains whenever I make a video talking about the UK in particular. Oh god. See, do you ever get this close to birds not on a scooter? I bet you don't. Look at that, it's pigeon over there. Anyway, so do I recommend one of these? I wholeheartedly do. Oh yeah, look. There's just the fun when you accelerate for the first time. Like when you go back down, you're like, okay, we're going for a leisurely little walk by the park with the moorhens, and then you go back up to the max, and you can feel the speed going. If you're like a nervous rider, my girlfriend, for instance, gets so nervous when she rides one of these because, like, you don't feel like you're in control. There isn't another form of transport where you go at this speed while standing up. Standing up and not moving yourself is an inherently, like, let's call it a weak position. I don't know what to call it, but you know, like, it is a scary mode of transport first. But once you realize that, like, the worst that will happen, because, you know, like, if I brake entirely, I will fall to one side. I can't balance. The worst that happens when, you know, like, you do slide on some water, which, again, do not ride this in wet conditions, snowy conditions, icy conditions. Riding at night even, like, you know, be cautious. Make sure you have the lights turned on, or, you know, reflective stuff. On major roads, wait till you have confidence and know the rules of the road or whatever. Sure, I recommend all those things. But as far as look how beautiful this is. As far as just, especially now, I think people are realizing, like, you know what, I want to go on a fun journey. And technically speaking, because this is assisted, in case you're curious, again, it's a really weak source explanation, but it is the valid one. It is technically an assisted scooter. If I try to, look, I'm on it right now, and I hit the go, it's not working. Just see that? Oh, it actually is now. But if we're not on a hill, so I go to 0, you see how it's not working? You have to power it yourself. It just assists you. And it's really stretching the definition of assist, in my opinion. Really, like, you know, is it assisted, or is it just that I have to kickstart it to get going? But it is, again, right now, it's not widely hated in the UK. We're not a nation of, I mean, there are people in our nation who are like, oh, I don't like the people who are using something new. I think we should ban it. But fortunately, right now, we're not in a situation where that's the widespread outcome that looks like it's happening. We're in a situation, it looks like right now, where, you know, this is an A-OK thing to ride. Don't use this as legal advice. Why am I uploading videos of me breaking the law? Because I'm glad. In some ways, we do have a legal system that makes me envy certain other countries, but one of the best ones in the world, you know. Actually, one of the reasons so many financial places have their hubs, like if you notice, all the biggest banking hubs in the world, like obviously everyone knows London and New York, like, okay, they're English-speaking countries, but that's more coincidence, right? But if you look at the other big banking hubs in the world, the other big you know, hubs for financial services and trading, you'll notice like Singapore, you'll notice Hong Kong, you'll notice a lot of English-speaking countries. And, you know, maybe it's coincidence because, like, the British legacy, something, but it's widely down to the legal system that is used in the ex-British world, I guess, of, like, you know, coming to, rather than assuming something is legal before given, if something is contentious. Also, that road sign says I've got to go to the right here. Again, this is a national cycle network, and that is a lot of fun. I passed a lot of people with weird looks today. You don't usually get that. Okay, we're turning left now. Fun fact, in the UK, you can't turn left on red. I've had a few people ask if that's okay, because in America you can go right on red. You can't in the UK. But you know, is there anything stopping me from doing it anyway? No. Oh, look at this. This is for the first time on my journey today. There's a proper cycle route thing here. Hey, look at this. It's got little cones on the right. They're actually protecting me from traffic, vaguely. You know, do you feel safe on a road like this? I'd love to know. But yeah, if you don't have a license, should you be getting a scooter? technically the answer is probably not, maybe, but because you don't need a license for an e-bike, you don't need a license for these right now. Again, subject to change. Is it worth the money? It's obviously, it's hard. It's a very expensive toy or a very cheap form of transport for city-to-city journeys. Again, 30 miles of range means you can't go city to city, but you can go pretty much anywhere within a city, or if you live in a town, you can go to a town or the neighboring towns, etc. Like, you know, those are basically your options. And you'll be pretty much fine regardless of what you do. Should we go this way? Let's not go this way. Ugh. Oh, the scooter's filthy now. Again, that's actually the biggest reason I don't recommend rain riding, is because, you know, ignoring the issues of brakes, ignoring the issues with, you know, the terrain and skidding and stuff. Again, I do want to clarify, brakes when you get one of these brand new are incredible. Like, at their speed, you almost want to be gentle with them because they might hurt you. Okay, I'm gonna go this way. Oh gosh, this is a terrible road for riding a scooter on. I'm gonna opt out of riding my scooter on this road. I'm just gonna opt out. Ah, no, I'm not, it's fine. Oh, look, you see some roads. Oh, by the way, yeah, this is my last point I want to raise. So, like, ride it in speed mode, expensive toy, or not even expensive, like mid-price toy. They'll give you a lot of fun, but like really valuable in terms of the transport benefit it provides for the price. But the final point here is it really will depend on your local area. If you have a lot of bike lanes, really easy to get into riding one of these. If you live in a place where you have to ride straight on the road because the pavements aren't great, or you just don't want to ride on the pavement because technically that's illegal on a bike, fun fact, so it should be illegal on a scooter. See that braking distance. Wasn't used to it. If I was a lesser man, I could have caused some serious issues. You know, maybe I am a lesser man. Maybe I did cause some serious issues. Who knows for sure? All I know is this is St. James Park. It's one of the oldest public parks in the world. Usually parks were like a private endeavor, like someone owns some land and then you could ask for their permission to go on the land. This is one of the first places that was like, yeah, you know what? Here's a park. Go enjoy it, you know, enjoy the land, enjoy the swans, the birds. Oh my god, look at that puddle. You want to ride for it? No, you don't want to ride for it. This thing in water does have some issues that I also have to mention. But if you get a Xiaomi M365, it's fun, it's good. This is my Xiaomi M365 Pro, which I recommend more wholeheartedly. It is, it's hard to find a scooter, in fact, that is anywhere near this bang for the buck. In fact, this is the best bang for buck scooter, but it's also the best scooter that you can buy right now. Like, there's very few fields where there's just one product that stands out so far above every other one, but this really is one of those. This is, you know, like, again, for the price, it is incredible, but to get a scooter that is better in any way, let alone better in every way, you have to spend 2 to 3 times the price. And even then, the boosted scooter, which is the best scooter I know of that exists, only exists in America. It's 3 times the price. It's $1,500 starting price, and it has slightly less range in exchange for more speed. It goes double the speed, but half the range. Oh, like, yeah, double the speed, half the range. And that's, you know, that is a big downside. And obviously, it's not a big downside. Oh, there's a little pug. Obviously, it's not a big downside for everyone, but it does have to be kept in mind that, like, yeah, you're gonna run into some issues. But keep in mind, I guess, that like there are alternatives, but if you want my recommendation, there is no other product where you can be so sure that one thing is just correct. It's just the thing to buy, and that's why I recommend the Xiaomi M365 Pro. I would love to ride all the way across one of the cycle networks on one of these. Like, as soon as there is a scooter that has like double this range, maybe triple this range, or maybe exchangeable batteries or something. I don't know how they do it, but I would love to ride all the way across like a country's cycle network on one of these. And because it's just a fun form of transport. I don't know why I enjoy it so much. Like, I like mobility, I like micro mobility a lot. If you're a nerd like me, of course get one. If it's a questionable thing, or you're like, you know, it's only really for lockdown. If it's just a fun toy, then again, you gotta consider, like, is it as good as a PS5 or whatever? But, oh wait, I just realized Americans got almost the exact price of this scooter given to them by their government recently. You know what, buy one, not even a question. And if you're British, if you're in America, you might get some issues because, like, again, some people hate them. But if you live in the UK, I don't know if anyone who's had any issues with them. In fact, they're even, again, you can see right here. So this is a very different scooter to mine, as you can see. This is a Voy rented scooter. I don't know which brand it's even from, but you can see that they're rentable here because lots of cities are realizing that this is actually a valuable, you know, transport is one of the biggest issues modern economies face in terms of getting things going. Also, all of that ride that took me, what did it take me? I did 25 minutes of riding today. I'm somewhere between 70 and 80% battery. So I think that's a pretty good, and if we check the app again, oh God, my hands are so cold. I should have put on a glove. Didn't put on a glove because I was trying to be cool. So the temperature of the vehicle got to 70 degrees. We've gone 90 miles now. That's cool. I've got 17.9 miles of remaining range. So I could still go 9 miles somewhere and 9 miles back, which is pretty great. Like, again, how many people live more than 9 miles away from their work? And that's at an 80% charge, going speed mode. If you go on eco mode, which obviously like speed modes are limited, or even if you're just better with the braking, etc., you have a good time with this, and that's what I entirely recommend. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Goodbye. Or is it goodbye? We'll find out.
Hello.
Hey.
Right, just before you start riding that, have that. On public, they're illegal. Ride it.
Okay.
It's only on private land with the owner's permission.
Okay.
So if anyone sees you riding it, you can get seized off you.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you for the tip.
Have a read of that, and then just push it down, alright?
Okay. Could you have timed that more perfectly? Real quick. Just as I finished that video, I got a letter from a police support officer saying Liverpool City Centre has been trying to deal with an increasing use of electric scooters in the Liverpool City Centre and surrounding areas. In recent months, there's an increase in this vehicle being used on roads and pavements, and Merseyside police are committed to educating the public in the use of such vehicles. See, even a police person only gave me a notice saying, hey, did you know they are not allowed on non-private land, and they're limited to 15 miles per hour and will slow in pedestrian areas. And like, you know, like, isn't that crazy that even the police that do spot you in an area where they clearly don't like them, they set up Operation Mute by this is actual police, Merseyside police, which I like that. I mean, I don't like them sending out notices that are effectively they again, if you heard them, they're like, oh, they're actually we're gonna get the scooter seized from me. But the fact that that is a real thing, that feels like in a game. You ever have that moment in a video game where it feels like an NPC comes up to you right as you finish a quest? That was exactly what happened there. I finished my quest, and then immediately someone came right off me, and I think that's beautiful. I'm glad I caught that on video. And yeah, do you want to know about Operation Mute? I bet you do. I'm gonna go right home now. Again, I'm glad that we live in an area. I'm glad I live in a country where the worst you get is a little letter confirming that, like, you know what, wait till they're legal, or you might get them seized, rather than, you know what, I'm gonna give you a, can I cross this road? I'm not sure I can, but I'm really glad that that's our system that we have here. Even if this is the worst, and I don't like the semi-intimidation tactics from, but even then, that's like that's the closest we get to intimidation tactics from police, right? And I like that. I like that that's the country I live in. Maybe you don't. Maybe you think, you know what, there was a person there who spotted you doing a thing. What's the deal with that, eh? But personally, I don't know about that. Also, you know, was I meant to walk this thing all the way home? I don't know. Wouldn't it be funny if I do get caught on the way home? I'll turn on my camera if I do. But thank you for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. I think that's a beautiful end to a beautiful video. I like when things go just right, and maybe you do too. Anyway, yeah, goodbye.